Hello, welcome to Living with Climate Change. This is a new segment of the show. It's called Climate Action Spotlight. I'm going to have three little segments besides the main show. Climate Action Spotlight, news briefs, and then interviews. I hope to have interviews soon. I'm working on that technology now. And then, of course, the normal show is a little bit longer and in-depth on topics. So this show is called Climate Action Spotlight. And this is going to be about people who, or NGOs or organizations that are taking action on solving environmental problems. A lot of us talk about climate change and don't do much about it. We try, but we feel overwhelmed by the problems. And I must say that even outside of climate change, that I think everyone can agree that in the future, as we develop more and there's more people and there's more growth, that environmental problems are just going to grow unless we do something about them. And these are not going to go away. And so they're more prevalent than ever, and they're going to continue to be this way. So, I hope that people will take action and try to solve these problems. I'm not really an entrepreneur to do things like this NGO is doing that I'm going to talk about. But I'm trying to do something with this channel. But let's get into this show. Today's spotlight is on an NGO in Northern Thailand, in Chiang Mai, called Warm Heart Worldwide, as founded by Dr. Michael Schaffer and his wife. And they've been at it for a while. I'll link to their website and then another podcast that I've learned about him and his NGO and what they were doing and what they are doing. I learned a lot from that podcast. I'll send it, but it's about an hour long, and so I want to just maybe summarize that. What I learned from that podcast and the website on today's show. Because I lived in Chiang Mai for a few months, and I left before the smoke season. So that's what we're going to talk about. Is in Northern Thailand, farmers do slash and burn agriculture. And it's causing a massive smoke, very unhealthy to people and everything else, plants, animals, and everything. They've been doing it for a while. It's an old years of, but it's really ramped up recently, and it's become a problem. And so this NGO, they're trying to solve this problem. And so this Dr. Michael Schaffer is a true eco-warrior. He's an amazing guy. Like I said, I'll link, he's a retired professor in the United States. And I'm doing the show because I was so impressed by him and I like him so much, at least from what I've heard from him. I emailed him about the show but I haven't heard back from him. I wanted to use a couple of pictures, that was all, but I hope that maybe this will maybe send some more people his way to their NGO. And you know, he really knows a lot about international aid, and because international aid, as much as is given, you know, it fails a lot. I mean, for instance, Africa, still struggling with extreme poverty. And the reasons are, we won't get too much into it, but usually donors give, and it lasts a while, and then they quit giving, and then it goes away. Or they put in technologies that are not maintained, PV panels maybe, or something, that break down and they don't know how to fix them. So he really understands this, that there needs to be a sustainable model that you put in to this international aid in developing countries. And so he, you know, train them until they can do it on their own, and then you leave. That is the best way to give aid, not just giving money. So this is a great example of that. And now what he is doing, so let's look at the problem. The problem is from this slash and burn architecture, agriculture, that has been going on thousands of years, but it has been ramped up by the need for corn, and that is to feed livestock, to feed the world with meat production, you see. And we see how all these systems are all connected. You have population growing and more people wanting to eat meat, leading to farmers in Northern Thailand growing corn and burning crops and creating more emissions and terrible smoke pollution. That puts off, you know, pretty bad stuff, 2.5 ppm particles and things like that go straight to your bloodstream, that are just very harmful to breathe. But it is a bad problem in Chiang Mai, and people leave. I left because I was afraid to be there during this period. I loved living there. So it's a very serious problem, and it's gotten worse the last 10 years because of all the corn crops. And the farmers, they feel they have to do this because, it's so hard. They don't have tractors. It's very hot, brutal heat, and they don't have tractors, and it's just the only way that they feel that they can do it is to burn the crops, all the excess stalks and things that are not used. But this causes a big problem. So that is the problem, and Chiang Mai sits in a basin and smoke collects, and it's very bad at times. It's gotten a lot worse, and like I said, quite dangerous. And this NGO is trying to do something about it. So let's just quickly look at the program. What they're doing is creating biochar from the stalks instead of burning it, from the excess biomass. And this program, they are shooting for 50% in 5 years, they call it. That means cutting back 50% of the smoke pollution in 5 years. And I think they're in their second year. and you can't get 100% because I don't know why, but it's you can look into it. But this is thousands of acres of corn. So I'll just briefly talk about this biochar. It's pyrolysis. I think pyrolysis is the engineering term for doing this process, and they've figured out how to do it with using oil drums and a pretty cheap way of doing it. But they're training the farmers to do this, and then they're selling the biochar, because it can be used as a soil amendment and has all kinds of excellent uses. You can put this in the soil and you don't need to use pesticides or fertilizers. So it's a great thing, and it keeps work for the villagers, and it has social value and all these things. So it's just an amazing thing that this NGO is doing, and I wanted to just present it to you very briefly and talk about it. It's just, if we have more of these, if we had eco warriors like Professor Chaffer, Dr. Chaffer, boy, I mean, what a world we would have. He is something else, and I wanted to do a little show on him. And I think that's all I'm going to talk about. I'm going to link this excellent podcast and their website and another video of how to build these biochar little kilns. So all that is a lot of information about this. And again, I'm just trying to spotlight people doing things like this. This guy is an amazing guy. And I'm just going to, I think the next one I know some young people trying to deal with plastic, and I might talk about them. But I will try to make these little climate action spotlights to help people out and help others know about it. So I think that's all for this short little segment of living with climate change. So I hope that this maybe gets some views, more than my other shows are getting. Anyway, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel and look for further episodes and news and spotlights and interviews on living with climate change. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.